Hello, English language learners. We are here for English language speaking practice. We always try to, if we can, if there's a bit of time that we have spare or available, we, I try to encourage you to speak English and practice English, and that's what we're doing now. Got a little bit of time while I'm waiting for a class, so thought I'd come on and just have a chat. If anyone's around, feel free to leave a comment and we can have a chat. And while I'm waiting to see if anyone's around, I found this website called goodnewsnetwork.org. And it's because like if we look at the news sites of the world, and it's a good thing, I think, to look at different news from around the world for different perspectives and different language, different comments that people have, and that sort of thing. But sometimes it can be a bit of a downer, let's say. In this case, we're going to look at some, hopefully, some positive news. So I've just had a quick squiz, shall we say, and we're going to see what's around here. I saw this: millions of wildflowers now to light the town after Vermont couple got tired of mowing the lawn all day. That must be a big lawn if they're mowing it all day. So let's have a look, shall we, and see what's going on here. Now we see Now, of course, the point with all of this stuff is always we're looking to practice English. And so if you've got a little bit of time or a lot of time, we can practically use anything to practice. And indeed, that's something you can do. You can organize different things that you're doing into different time slots, shall we say. So if you've only got, like, say, a minute or 5 minutes or 20 minutes, you can put different activities that you do with different resources, such as an article or a website or something, and do different activities with them, from summarizing, asking questions, just reviewing, making a quick note or a voice memo to yourself, all those different sorts of things, to doing a full read and doing research and comparing different ideas. Say, for example, if we find the name of this location, you could have a look at, like a map website to have a look at what the place looks like. You can imagine you're doing a trip to this location. Look at types of accommodation available, things you can do in the town or near there, and look for all different sorts of things. Maybe you might want to think about hiring a car or catching a bus or using a train, where you would eat, what sort of things you would need if you're going to travel there. Maybe you might want to stay for 1 or 2 nights. Maybe you want to stay for half a year. And, with those different sort of scenarios, you might need different things. And then you could, like, prepare a list and so on. So there's lots of different things that you could do with different amounts of time. And so you can break up the things that you do into different opportunities of time, shall we say. So let's have a look anyway here. So this has been titled or categorized as in the US an inspiring. So let's see if we can gain some inspiration from this story. Now, it's interesting just to note that they've got all different sorts of categories that you can choose from for this website. So it's may not be a bad website indeed to have a look. If you're looking for some sort of, let's say, alternative news, might be a way of saying, or more news that you may not read in other publications. So there we have, this looks like the couple. So it's Natalie Gilliard, I think is the name, and her husband, John Yako, I'm going to guess is the name. Not 100% sure of the pronunciation. Apologies if it's incorrect. Sometimes we need to have a go with the pronunciation, and it's not always there. Indeed, if they are talking about the wildflowers that we saw in the headline there, certainly we can see them in the background there. It does have quite a spectacular view. I remember there was another place. I can't remember where it is. Somewhere in the US, though, I think it was as well, where there's like a particular picture or angle that people had, and everyone went there to do an Instagram type photo because it was so picturesque, and the town was getting, I guess, annoyed with so many people coming. So like maybe a few people would be okay, but they just had so many people coming to visit this place. I'm not particularly sure if this is a well-known place or not. Maybe it is. Maybe it's a place for the future. So let's have a look through this story, shall we? So we've got from a small Vermont countryside community comes the story of two Long Islanders who ditched mowing their massive lawn and planted wildflowers instead, delighting the neighbors, birds, bees, and butterflies. Now, we can obviously see right there, we've got quite a bit of language already. And depending on what vocabulary you've already been exposed to, some of this may be understandable, some not. Again, whenever you're looking at vocabulary or thinking about vocabulary, the idea is always, do I think it's important to understand the story? And then B, is it something that I would need to learn or be more familiar with? Try to remember, I guess, is the idea. And that's, I guess, something to think about. So, for example, when you have the verb here, ditched, we can see it's in the past. So these people who ditched mowing their lawn, you could have if you don't know, you could have a guess. Think about it through the rest of the context of that paragraph, what it may mean. Or, of course, look up in the dictionary and then determining again if that's something you think you're going to use. I dare say it's probably not going to be the most common word in terms of a verb. Maybe it's a noun, a ditch, but it has a different meaning. But it's something to consider. Whenever we're looking at vocabulary, we always need to consider. Here as well, we can see Long Islanders. So now this is the story of two Long Islanders. And we see it's capitals, so we know it's probably going to be the name of a place. And I think Long Island is an island near. Is that one near New York or something? I'm not sure. As a non-American, I don't really know. But I think, because I know there's a drink with the name Long Island, and I'm pretty sure that came from America. So I'm guessing at some island in America. I think it's near New York. If you know, let me know. But otherwise, so we've got two Long Islanders, so people who were residents, I suppose, of that place, who stopped mowing their massive lawn, planted wildflowers instead. I wonder if the planting was actually like a deliberate sort of organized thing, like in rows, or if they just got all of the seeds and just, whooshka, out go all the seeds. And everyone seems to be happy, from the people around and the wildlife. I guess, do we call birds and butterflies, are they wildlife? I'm not sure. But anyway, the animals, let's say. They've steadily grown their wildflower meadow to 2.5 acres, which has become so popular that it's inspired others nearby to do the same. Well, that's good. It's always good to have inspiration. Jonathan Yako and Natalie Gilliard started their makeover during the pandemic, when Gilliard lost her job and Yako's hours were cut. He still work remotely for the same company he had when they lived on Long Island. There we go. Okay, so Long Island is the location. And told the Washington Post that their 5-acre property in Chittenden, yes, used to boast a sea of grass that required a whole day to mow and trim. Oh, okay. So yeah, so of course they don't need to do it every day. They would do it like maybe once a month, I guess. They would mow the grass. I don't know. It depends how long grass takes to mow. I don't know how long 5 acres or how big 5 acres is. Maybe worth noting if you're looking at grammar and other English sort of parts. So it's a 5-acre property. So they're 5-acre property. So it's worth noting. So here the acre or the 5 acres is like an adjective. And so with adjectives, we don't have a plural. There's no S. So sometimes you will see this. And it's behaving like an adjective. So it's describing the property. It's a 5-acre property. You could, of course, say the property is 5 acres. And then you would have an S. So the acres is the pure noun, if you like. So then you're counting it, 5 acres. But in this case, it's a 5-acre property. Again, we've got Washington Post. I guess that's a pretty famous publication anyway. And so I'm guessing that's where the original story was, on the perhaps on the Washington Post website or through the newspaper and whatnot. And then you've also got different types of vocabulary that you may think is interesting. So you've got their makeover or starting the makeover. So I guess the concept there is that's when they started. Maybe that's still going or it's continued for a long time. So when something began. So makeover, normally I guess we see makeover for people, I suppose. So it could be like maybe, I guess, like the face or the hair and that sort of stuff. So like in a beauty type context, people can have a makeover and just have a different style of appearance. I guess it can be like with clothes as well. So you have a different type of wardrobe that you're wearing or utilizing, etc. But yes, so in this case, the makeover is for the land or part of the land that they have. So it's basically half of their property. So half of the property they're doing other stuff with, I suppose. Maybe they've got like a house and stuff. Maybe we'll find out. And one half, they've decided to just grow flowers. I'm not sure what people could like when the neighbors are happy with it. Noting as well, I guess, is another point, is that these are all going to be the American spellings, I'm supposing. I'm guessing this is an American website. But we can see here with neighbors, the style of writing is with American English, because the neighbors word is, the spelling is O-R, where if it's British English, it would be O-U-R. Just as a note. But I'm not sure what the neighbors can do with it. I'm not sure if the neighbors will actually have access to that area of the property, or if the neighbors are going to, I don't know, just watch it from the fence or something like that. But maybe we'll find out. Let's have a look. Again, thinking about those sorts of things, when you start reading an article, you don't necessarily have to read the whole article in one go. So like we mentioned before, if you put things into different sort of time slot categories, when you only have 1 minute, maybe you can read just the paragraph or the headline and go, okay, what do you think this story is about? And you make some predictions. And then when you got another minute, you start reading, you read through maybe the first and second paragraph. And then you sort of remember, and the next time you've got another couple of minutes, maybe you start asking questions with more ideas. You ask yourself maybe some questions, so the answer is in the text, maybe other questions about speculation and just possible ideas and that sort of thing, like I've been talking about. So we want to try and utilize the resources, use the resources as best we can. So when we're using anything like this, as a learning resource or a learning tool. It's not just about reading it, tick it off, that's done, I've done some English. Try to use it to its maximum potential. I would encourage you to do that. And I guess you could also look at, think about maybe like if you've gone to, let's say, traditional English classes, you would see the way maybe when you have an article and they've had questions and then they have like some discussion and that sort of stuff, you can do that for yourself. You don't need a teacher to do that. And indeed, if you have any, or you're looking at any social media, you can do that as well. Even if it's just a picture or if it's text, you can analyze it, review it, commentate, or give your thoughts or opinions about it, ask questions, etc. Anyway, let's get back to the story. Wanting to do something different, they explain their predicament of exhaustive mowing to a local. That is quite a predicament to be in. Go, what do we do? What do we do? We're mowing all the time. It feels like we have to do it all the time. What are we going to do? So yes, it's quite a predicament. But anyway, to a local, whom, very formal there, whom they had befriended. Wow, so we've got some very nice, juicy range of grammatical tenses here. So a bit of past perfect here, had befriended. So befriended before they spoke to them about this situation. To befriend is to become friends with. It's an interesting word. It's not too common, I would say, to actually use. It's more of perhaps like a bit of a fancy word, I would say, to use, but it can be useful. It's a different type of word. I guess the word, even the verb to friend someone, is used quite often, I guess in the last 20 odd years with social media, where when you add someone as a friend on social media platforms, to friend, to unfriend, to follow, to unfollow, and so on. Anyway, they had befriended who just so happened, there's an interesting expression, who just so happened to work for a company called American Meadows. Okay, so maybe the person from American Meadows thought, hell, here we go, opportunity. It would cost a couple $100 and require a fair amount of initial work. But the friend suggested they plant a wildflower meadow that would grow on its own ever after. Ever after, so forever, always and always. Interesting. I wonder what we could talk about climate conditions and stuff, but anyway, that's another thing. Maybe that's too distracting. Anyway, they liked the idea and so ripped up an acre's worth of grass, tugged out all the large stones, tilled the land. I don't know what that means. Maybe that's some sort of term specifically in relation to agriculture. But again, so for me, this is actually a word that I don't know, but I'm guessing, and it's not particularly important to me if I know it or if I don't know it. I know it's something they're doing with the land, of course, and as part of the process, but it's not going to change my world, I think, if I know what this means. If for some reason I do start to get into a lot of agriculture and I keep seeing the verb to till, then yes, I would perhaps be looking at a more formal, I'll be looking at closely more at the definition to find out exactly what it means, when to till, when not to till, how to till, what's involved in tilling, the processes, the equipment needed to till, etc. But at this stage, it's not important, so I'm going to let it go. And again, so that's just an example of when maybe there are some words that you see, you can sort of guess what it might mean, but it's not too important. It's one of the things perhaps on a list of something, but it's not going to change the overall meaning or understanding of in this case, the article. threw down the contents of a 50-pound bag. Again, so we can say the bag was 50 pounds or weighed 50 pounds, but it's a 50-pound bag. So again, we can see sometimes if it's acting like an adjective, we take away the S, so there's not 50 pounds. But if it's, like I said, say a noun, so the bag is 50 pounds. So a 50-pound bag of wildflower seed containing 27 species. And then waited. That's what I sort of imagined. You would, well, not necessarily with the stones. I didn't know they were there, but I don't know if you necessarily have to move the stones. I'm not sure if that makes a difference or not. Maybe if you don't take away the stones, there could be other grass or something that's not supposed to be there. But I don't know. But I imagine you just take up what's there and you put down the seeds. Is my guess. But anyway. In the spring of 2021, they arrived. I'm assuming that there is the wildflowers. There's some photos coming here. Okay. So first came baby's breath, or I don't know what that is. I'm assuming that's maybe the botanical name for baby's breath. And of course, we can see baby's breath there in a sort of like a quotation marks. So for the name of it, one style. So here we've got, it's interesting because a little bit later on we can see the full quotation marks. So for the quote, but then we have baby's breath in a single quotation mark, and then the italics for the botanical name. So 3 different uses to show or highlight the different language that they've got in there. Interesting for me as a language teacher. If for you as interesting, I'm not so sure, but it's something to note if you are writing, and different ways that you can present pieces of information so they all stand out and gain attention. So this is all within the one sentence, of course. And then I guess you can also see the link, although it's another style of thing, I guess, but you can see the link in a different color there. But anyway, okay, so first came baby's breath, or the botanical name. Then came red and yellow poppies, pink catchfly, bright orange sulfur cosmos, red columbine, and purple foxglove. I'm assuming all varieties of wildflowers. Yes, I certainly know poppies, but I don't know the others. But it's my big guess. Reports Vermont Public, possibly a publication, I suppose, a local newspaper or newsletter, which was the couple's first taste of national media. Okay, well, maybe, there you go. So it's certainly probably a newspaper. Certainly, probably. There you go. That's a nice little expression. Anyway, we had no idea what we'd be looking at after we first planted the meadow, but that was part of the fun, Jacco told the Post. Not sure why he didn't say that also to the Vermont Public, but anyway. So I'm guessing on the left is the flowers growing in a wild way, and on the right looks like a bouquet of someone gathering some of the flowers. I wonder if the locals can actually that would actually be good if the locals could go in and just, collect some of the flowers if they wish to. That would be a nice thing. Anyway, and here we have a quote as well. And what's so cool is every couple of weeks, the meadows look totally different. Jacco said, this time to Vermont Public. Okay, so this time is to the other, publication. Okay, but it's interesting. It's an interesting way that you can compare or demonstrate using quotes or details from different sources. So here we've got the first quote. So very simple. He told the Post, and then here, this time to blah blah blah. They could just say Jacco said to Vermont Public. But here they're emphasizing that we're changing the publication. And it's also written, I guess, in a more relaxed way when they have this written like that. You don't know exactly what's going to come up or when it's going to come up. That's part of the magic. Yes, that is part of the magic, I suppose. Because I guess they do. Well, I guess it's going to be whatever seeds they threw down. Well, I'm not sure if anything happens during the process. If I don't know that. The beauty of the meadow was striking, and soon it began to draw attention among the local community. People offered gratitude for coloring up their morning commute. People brought baked goods, bouquets, and most importantly for newcomers who had difficulties meeting new people on Long Island, they brought friendship. Oh, okay, so this must be a part of Long Island then. So they're actually on the island. Okay, so there we go. We're learning more as we progress through the story. So they brought friendship. So this is a person bringing a quilt or something. Or what is that? Well, okay, so I guess that's someone brought a blanket or a quilt, and then she's standing in the middle of the meadow with all of the flowers blooming. And I guess it's they're blooming, like they say, so it's always changing. I'm not sure how long the flowers actually last when they're blooming. So maybe that's just the constant nature of wildflowers, perhaps. So maybe some last longer than others, and so on. Okay. Hold on. Well, right. Neighbors. Let me just make that a bit bigger. Neighbors. Jenny Baird and her partner Jacob Paulsner, I think, were so inspired by the meadow that they asked to work together with Yakko and Gilead on seeding another acre on their property to connect with an additional half-acre plot which the couple had started after their first dazzling year of blooms. Okay, that's a lot of information actually in there in terms of how much space is actually included there. But again, this could be a paragraph that you try and break down in terms of the information and in terms of turning it into numbers and a total number of area for the flowers and so forth. Also got some nice adjectives and whatnot here as well. Again, that could be useful or not to you in your English language journey. We started this as not wanting to mow grass, not expecting it would become what it has. Yakko said, now we're helping the bees, we're adding beauty to the landscape, and we're making the community happy. Well, that's good. That's very good. And that's it. And unfortunately, there's no comments here. It looks as though, well, I'm not logged in, but if you do have a membership to a website like this, I suppose you can add comments. I wonder if there are many stories with the tag of bees. It might be something we have a look at after, but these sorts of sites I suggest are very good because when they're actually giving you that space to write down the comments, you have two options. You can either just prepare a comment of what you're going to say and actually go through the process, look for the words that are missing, trying to use maybe some of the words that you see in the story, or then also and not having it on there or publishing it. So you could either just do the practice, or you could also put it on there if you want to do it in real life. Got some comments here. Let me just have a look. So till means prepare and use the land for growing crops. Okay, very good information. Thank you very much. Okay, that is good information. Okay, so when they're tilling the land, where was that? Where is that? Well, they're tilling the land here. Okay, there's good information. I suspected it was something along those lines because that was I guess the flow of the different tasks. So I guess they had removed everything. So they took out the grass, they took out the stones, and then they prepared the land. What they actually have to do to prepare the land, I guess perhaps um, it's a bigger process. So the tilling is the whole process, perhaps, and then you do individual steps within that to make sure that land is able to be used. Well, it's interesting. Well, that's very good. Thank you very much for that detail. Could you give your perspective about this article that you read? My perspective. What's your perspective? It's going to be my first question. I always like to. This is here where I guess we're trying to encourage people in terms of English language practice. So whenever we have an article or anything, it's a matter of using it. But this is an excellent example of a question that can be prepared. So when you're thinking of this, or I mean this, and I guess this is a general question that you could ask in any situation, but certainly to have this question there is a good thing. And then answering that. So using the voice recorder on your phone or writing it down or typing it out, even giving your ideas. You can practice writing notes about those different ideas. You could also play devil's advocate. So you could have one particular opinion and then give, let's say, the opposing opinion and debate the pros and cons or positive negatives and any supporting ideas about those. Again, finding ways to utilize the article, the language that you want to give. Now, of course, I've just found this article at random. The optimal idea, the best idea is obviously to find stuff that you're actually interested in. Now, in terms of actually answering the question, okay, here we go. So they are trying to establish a community for enjoyment of people, I think is mentioned in the outro. I think afterwards they've tried to do that. I think in the beginning it was a way to make the place still look good. I think they didn't want to have their property just look bare. They didn't want to like just concrete it. They didn't want it just to be a grassy type area. I think they wanted a bit of, I don't know, make it a bit more dynamic, that sort of thing. It's my impression. But now, certainly, yes, I think once they've realized that people are into it, I certainly think there's a community going on there. And what they do with that, I guess, could be the question. So they've got the neighboring property who's doing that as well. Who knows what it could lead to? I mean, maybe other places on the island have like little wildflower gardens or something. You could, I guess they could do things like getting different schools and stuff involved, because they were talking about the people on the commute. I'm assuming you'd have whatever kids going to school and stuff, or maybe or older people maybe going to, I'm not sure if there's a university and stuff, but maybe going to university or college, and of course people going to work and that sort of thing. So maybe, yes, it could give them inspiration for doing different types of things. But I guess it's nice just to have it as is. It's often, I don't know, I think sometimes when I see things like that, I think, maybe we could do more with it. Maybe we can spread it and that sort of thing. Maybe you can get more people there. It could be a nice little thing to have like a little, I don't know, like a tea house or something and have like a nice sort of afternoon tea, sort of surrounded by all of these wildflowers and stuff. But the problem is then once you start doing that sort of thing, or if you could be sort of like a commercial type thing or just like a hobby type thing as well. But once you start doing that, then of course there could be problems with having too many people. Like I was saying at the beginning, there was that place somewhere else, I can't remember, somewhere in America, where they were saying like there was a photograph taken and it became very famous, and everyone suddenly started going, well, I'll say everyone, but lots of people started going there to take this Instagram photo of this particular angle and place, and this quiet town, effectively, or village even, became inundated with people, and they didn't like it. And maybe it could be the same thing there. So I guess with those sorts of things, it can be debatable about what could be positive or negative. But I suppose in the purer side, we would look at this as a very much a positive thing, just trying to bring, I guess, smiles, happiness to people, positive vibes, like we were saying, like when people are on their bus ride or train ride, it may be, I'm not sure, or just driving in their car, and they maybe have imagine if it was the road, and instead of like trees and stuff, they had these acres of wildflowers. It would certainly be a nice little break from the stock standard stuff that people may see. But thank you very much for your comments. Much appreciated. It's good to see some interaction there, and I certainly appreciate the vocabulary. That's excellent. And I love it when people know words that I don't know. That's even better. It's a fantastic thing. That said, I have to go. I have a class in a mere matter of minutes, so I'm going to go. Thank you for watching. If anyone is interested in English language speaking practice, you do see the email address at the bottom. So if you want to come on sometime, chat about some sort of story, some sort of or article or event, and you just want to practice speaking English or chatting about things, I do invite you to do that. But certainly send us an email or come on to one of the live streams. I am still trying to become a little bit more consistent, I guess is the word, in terms of the scheduling of these, but nevertheless, we will endeavor to do that. No worries. Thank you. Have a great rest of the day, week, and whatnot. I will be back hopefully in the not too distant future. I hope you've enjoyed the story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff if you liked it, and if you want to subscribe. Of course, don't do it if you don't want to do it, but yes. Have a great time. I need to skedaddle. Have a good one.